Have you ever stopped to think about the story playing in your head every single day? The one where you're the hero, or maybe the one where you're holding yourself back? What if I told you that the story you're telling yourself right now is the single biggest factor in shaping your success, your relationships, and your happiness? As Oprah Winfrey famously said, you don't become what you want, you become what you believe. So today, we're not just talking about reframing mindsets, we're going to dive deep into something even deeper. How rewriting your personal narrative can completely change the course of your life. It's time to become the author of a new, empowering story. Ready to get started? Now, whether you realize it or not, you are the author of a story that's running through your head on repeat. It could be a story that empowers you, or it could be one that holds you back. So the big question is, what story are you telling yourself? And more importantly, what happens when you rewrite it? We all have an internal narrative. Think about it. Your life is shaped by a collection of stories. Stories about who you are, what you can do, and what you're worth. These narratives influence every decision you make, from how you approach relationships to your career. It's like we're all living inside a book and we've written ourselves into certain roles without even questioning it. As Tony Robbins puts it, the only thing that keeps you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. You might say, I'm always late, or I'm just not good at with people, or even I'll never be able to lose weight. These statements feel like facts in our minds, but are they really? Here's the thing, most of these stories are not facts at all, they're beliefs we've accepted without challenge. These stories form our reality, but they can be false narratives. For example, let's say you've told yourself for years, I'm just not good at public speaking. This becomes a narrative you live by. You avoid opportunities, you turn down offers, and over time, this limiting belief becomes ingrained in your identity. But what if you're simply telling yourself the wrong story? What if instead you reframe that to, I'm learning to become more confident every time I speak in front of others? Notice how the energy shifts. One version traps you in a fixed mindset, the other opens up possibilities. Let's get into a bit of science here. You might have heard the term neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Essentially, you can rewire your brain to create new ways of thinking by changing the stories you tell yourself. As Will Smith wisely said, the first step is you have to say that you can. Every time you reframe a negative belief or narrative, you're creating new pathways in your brain. And over time, these new pathways become stronger. This is how lasting change happens, and it all starts with a conscious decision to look at things differently. Let me share you an example of a coaching client of mine. He used to say, I'm terrible at relationships. They always fail. This was his narrative. As you can imagine, it led to a cycle of self-sabotage in his romantic life. But one day, we worked together to reframe that story. Instead of saying, I always fail, he began telling himself, I'm still learning, and every relationship teaches me something valuable. This simple shift in language helped him break out of that self-defeating cycle. And guess what? His relationships started to improve. The key was rewriting their story. Sounds simple, but it's something that we all need to understand. So now it's your turn. I want you to grab a piece of paper or open up your notes app. Write down a limiting belief or story you've been telling yourself. It could be anything. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old to start this. I'll never be financially free. Wherever it is, get it down. Now I want you to reframe that story into something empowering. Let's say your belief is, I'm bad with money. You could reframe that to, I'm learning how to manage my finances and grow my wealth every day. See the difference? Now, here's the challenge. Every time that old story pops up in your mind, consciously replace it with the new one. It might feel strange at first, but remember, you're building new pathways in your brain. Stick with it. Here's what I want you to do next. Drop your reframed narrative in the comments below. I'll be checking in and giving feedback on some of them. And trust me, when you put your new story out into the world, it makes it even more real. Remember, you are the author of your life. As Steve Jobs once said, the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. You have the power to change the story you tell yourself, and that's where real transformation begins. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe for more mindset shifting content. Until next time, keep rewriting your story and keep thriving. I'm Dr. Rakish Rana, the Clear Coach.